A new champion and one of the wildest brawls in wrestling history, this is Double or Nothing. Hello everyone, it's NLW Figs here, back again with another video. Today, going to be giving you my thoughts on Double or Nothing, which happened over the weekend. I was going to do it yesterday, but I was so spent from like 5 hours of this wrestling, so I decided to leave it a day, kind of stew on it a little bit and give you my thoughts in a more concise manner today. So we'll get into it, we'll go through it match by match, but before I do, make sure you like the video if you enjoy it and subscribe to NLW Figs for more wrestling figure content, and comment down below as well what you thought of Double or Nothing. What did you think of the show, and what was your thoughts on the main event as well? Let me know in those comments. But without further ado, let's get into it. So the kickoff match, we had Hook and Danhausen of Hookhausen versus Tony Nese and Mark Sterling. A fun match to kind of hype up the crowd. It was basically mostly Tony Nese throughout this one. Danhausen did have a couple of moments to shine to show he can actually wrestle, but Hook, once he got his hands on Mark Sterling, it was all over. Danhausen gets the tag in and puts his foot on the chest for the win. So a fun little opener here where Hookhausen, I wonder what they're going to do from here. First match on the main card, we had Wardlow versus MJF. If Wardlow wins, he'll be granted his release from his contract and will sign with AEW, but if MJF wins, Wardlow's banned from signing with AEW, and the main story of this match really is what's been going on outside of it, where MJF has seemingly been having rifts with Tony Khan. Will he leave AEW? What's going on there? You know, he no-showed the Fan Fest, and, you know, my opinion on it really is I think he has every right to walk out if he wants to, you know. I'm going to say the same thing for Sasha and Naomi. I'll say the same thing for MJF. I think if he's not happy, you know, he has every right to leave, like, honestly. But maybe could have gone about it in a more, I don't know, actually, to be fair, like, he's getting paid, what is it, 150 grand a year? I think for a talent of his caliber and being one of the main stars, he should be being paid way more. I think Tony Khan should splash the cash on him to keep him. But if MJF's not happy, hell, go to WWE, man. Like, grab that bag. He's certainly talented enough. But a really fun match, a great end to the rivalry between these two. Ultimately, it's Wardlow hitting a bunch of powerbombs on MJF. A glorified squash, but a fun one nonetheless. You saw MJF kind of picking out all the old tropes with the diamond ring, but it all is for nothing because Wardlow hits MJF with a bunch of finishes and wins the match. And I thought it was great, honestly. I think that it was a great way to showcase Wardlow and get this match out of the way early to avoid any of the MJF controversy stuff. And the thing he did at the start of the match where he was mimicking the plane thing to get him through out of Vegas was quite funny. But yeah, Wardlow's a member of the roster. Can't wait to see what he does from here. Next up, the Hardys and the Young Bucks, and honestly, a match which I thought it was going to be fine, but I didn't think it was going to be great. And honestly, I thought this match was great, to be honest. Like, people are saying Jeff Hardy botched a couple of things. Like, I didn't really notice that much, like maybe a couple of moves, but he did hit one cool move, which was like a jawbreaker on the top rope. That was cool. I think that his boot was loose, and that might have explained why he might have botched up or messed up a couple of things. But honestly, I thought that the Young Bucks, their formula for tag team matches, is something that, you know, it doesn't appeal to everybody, but it definitely appeals to me. I do like their style of match, and I think this was a great way to kick off. You know, obviously the opener was more of an angle than a match, but this one, the first real match of the evening, really, really fun stuff. You know, it went for like 20 minutes. The Hardys got their good stuff in, and, you know, the Young Bucks did Young Bucks things with their dives, and much better than it had any right to be, in my opinion. The Hardys picked up the win. Good result. Maybe the Hardys will be the next ones to challenge the Jurassic Express, but really fun tag team match. Next up, we had Jade Cargill and Anna Jay for the TBS title. The story of this matchup really is Jade just being dominant, you know, the baddies cheering her on at ringside. You get John Silver coming down to ringside at one point to hit a brainbuster on Mark Sterling, and then we see Stokely Hathaway, formerly Malcolm Bivens, in NXT. I think he's definitely been underutilized in the WWE, so good to see him here in a managerial role. And then once Jade Cargill's won the match, afterwards we see Athena make her AEW debut. Again, I love Ember Moon, I love Athena, that's why I pushed her so heavily in NLW before, but yeah, she's great. I think she's a great addition to the women's division. I'm not past the fact that, you know, they're signing loads of WWE people. I don't care, man. Like, honestly, I think that you know, building the roster up, it's not a problem for me as a fan. Like, maybe if you're like a booker, perhaps, but I don't think it's a problem. I think she'll be a great addition. This matchup, it was fine, you know, for what it was. Short but sweet, but yeah, the post-match angle definitely made it more interesting. Next up, one of my favourite matches of the night, 6-man tag, the House of Black versus the Death Triangle. Oh my god, like, the match at Revolution they had was fantastic, and this one was even better. Like, the face paint, all the attires in this one, fantastic. Like, the face paint on the House of Black, Pac with the mask. It's a shame he didn't wrestle with it on, but it is what it is. Yeah, just some awesome stuff, like a destroyer to Buddy Matthews on the apron at one point. They're all hitting their dives. Brody King hits his back on the apron, which looked nasty. It ends Black Masses to a bunch of people. It looks like Pac's going to set up for the Black Arrow, but the lights go out, and then Julia Hart is there to spit the mist in the eyes of Pac, and Pac is blinded. The Death Triangle loses to the House of Black, and Julia Hart is now aligned with Malachi and the rest of them, and oh my god, a great post-match angle. They have waited a while to build to this Julia Hart thing, but at least now it feels a bit more concrete, because they had a segment which was quite awkward, to say the least, on Dynamite a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, the House of Black, fantastic in this matchup, as well as, you know, the Lucha Bros and Pac, always fantastic. Oh my god, I wish they'd do this match over and over and over again. It was amazing. Definitely a highlight of the night. Next up, we had the Owen Hart tournament matches. So first final match was Adam Cole and Samoa Joe. The story of this one really is just Adam Cole working over the shoulder of Samoa Joe. You know, it's kind of slow, and you can definitely tell the crowd is a bit tuckered out at this point. So yeah, it's fine stuff, but not what I think they're both capable of. I think they are capable of more, but maybe just match placement and just the story of the match kind of hurt it a little bit. Adam Cole wins after Bobby Fish gets involved to pin Samoa Joe and become the winner of the Owen Hart tournament. And, you know, I think it kind of spoiled the outcome of the next matchup, but not too much, you know. But yeah, like a decent match, but, you know, not their best in my opinion. Next up, we also had Britt Baker and Ruby Soho. This matchup was, I preferred actually to the Adam Cole Samoa Joe one. Had more heat to it. The fans really getting behind Ruby. Ultimately, though, Britt getting in the lockjaw, I believe. Or she gets the pinfall on Ruby. I don't know I can't remember if it's a roll up or not. Again, these two matches were quite forgettable in the grand scheme of things. I think this is where the show kind of petered off a little bit, because it was becoming one of my favourite pay-per-views ever, and it kind of dipped a little bit in quality at this point, but it was still good stuff. Like, it wasn't bad or by any means, it just wasn't up to the standard of the previous matches. And maybe, you know, being such a long show, it had its issues there, being kind of stuck right in the middle of all this stuff going on. But Martha Hart with a nice tribute to Owen after the matchup, and that post-match angle was quite nice, even if it was, you know, the two heels being gracious in victory for this, you know, this dead wrestler. It was a bit of a weird contrast, but yeah, like, I'm not as against Adam Cole and Britt winning, but I would like to have seen Ruby Soho win this tournament. I think this is one that she definitely needed. I really hope that they do right by Ruby and have her win the TBS title or something, because she can't keep losing these big matches. Next up, a match that really wasn't looking forward to be honest. American Top Team versus Frankie Kazarian, Sammy and Ty. I hate how they've turned Sammy and Ty into these bad guys, considering how over they were as faces. The highlight of this match really for me is Frankie just chewing out Sammy and hating their guts every single step of the way. Paige Van Zandt, she looks fine in her debut, I guess, but nothing really special in this one. Eventually, they do pick up the victory, and now that means that Kazarian and Guevara can't challenge Scorpio Sky, which, you know, I'm happy with, because I think that he needs to move on to something else. Whatever they do next, I'm just glad that this angle is seemingly over. Next up, we had Kyle O'Reilly and Darby Allin in a match, which, on paper, pretty good, but I really don't think we needed to see it on this pay-per-view, considering how stacked it was. That said, though, they beat the hell out of each other for like 10 minutes. Darby at one point hitting like a tope, but he flips through and catches him with the legs. That was gnarly. A tope also into a guillotine choke. Eventually, a big knee to the back of Darby wins it for Kyle O'Reilly, I should say. So, yeah, a decent match. Like, I really enjoyed this one. Much better than I thought it was going to be heading into it, but again, probably didn't need to be on this pay-per-view, but I'm glad we saw it anyways. Next up, Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb, and one of my favourite women's matches that they've done in a while, honestly. They really showed off a lot of technical prowess in this matchup, like we expected, but it was definitely helped by the fact that the crowd was into it and willing to cheer someone on, I think, because, you know, we've seen a lot of women's matches that they've placed on the card where it hasn't really gotten over as well as they may have liked to, but this one definitely did in many ways. You know, in terms of like the technical style, it was different to a lot of other stuff on the card, which was good. Thunder Rosa eventually winning by beating Serena Deeb by pinfall, and yeah, like, good for her. I think this is what her reign really needed, like a solid performance, and this is what really, I think, elevated the championship, elevated Deeb, and definitely Thunder Rosa can go on and face whoever next. I just hope it's not Britt Baker, because I think we've seen that enough. But yeah, decent match. Next up, my favourite match of all time, and that's not even like a hyperbole or anything. It probably is one that I'm going to go back and watch over and over again. It's the WrestleMania 17 of like bloody brawls, anarchy in the arena they called it, Jericho Appreciation Society versus the Blackpool Combat Club, Kingston, Santana, Ortiz. Oh my god. So, right, where do I start with this matchup? First of all, they come into the arena one by one. I love the attire of the Jericho Society, and then the others come down in like tank tops, and they're coming down through the crowd while things playing on the speakers, and it plays for the first 10 minutes of the matchup. Oh my god, gives me like New Jack ECW vibes, absolutely fantastic. They're just brawling with each other. You just see, I love the chaotic energy of this matchup. I saw some people saying it was a bit of a train wreck. I disagree. Like, I want it to be like, because it's more real. The fact that the camera can't keep up with stuff, because it's just going all over the place. You're cutting back to people, they're covered in blood. They're beating each other up. There's all sorts of different spots. Brian is throwing Angelo Parker into the camera. You got Kingston and Garcia brawling through the crowd into the concourse. Jericho as well, and Moxley in the ring. Eventually, Jericho pulls the plug on the music, which I thought was fun, because when they played it and looped it a second time, the crowd popped, but it would have probably been a little bit annoying had it gone on the whole match, but still, really cool to have it playing. Just made it a lot more chaotic. They come in, and there's so much in this matchup. Like, they take the turnbuckles off, use those as weapons. Kingston and Garcia, I believe, going into the freight elevator. Hagar just being speared over the ringside table. Bryan Danielson saying, "I'm going to kick your effing head in," like screaming at the top of his lungs. And then, like, ultimate highlight of the match, well, you got Santana and Ortiz jumping off ladders through tables, and like twice in this matchup, I think. And then the conclusion of this matchup, oh my god, Eddie Kingston, can of gasoline as the yes lock is applied, just pouring gasoline all over Danielson and Jericho. Wants to set him on fire, but Bryan and Kingston eventually just brawling beating the hell out of each other, like just insane stuff. And then eventually Jericho getting the pin on Bryan. Oh my god, like 10 stars. This is the best match in AEW history. Don't at me, like, this is insane. Watch it. My favorite match, maybe of all time. Like, it's up there, man. It's like top 5 favorite matches of all time, and don't hate me for loving it as much as I do, but that's it. Just watch it for yourselves and see what you think. After this matchup, while they're setting up the ring, they show a vignette with Andrade saying basically the Andrade Society, what are they calling it? The Family Office, that's it. It sucks and it needs to be disbanded, and I agree. So he brings in his new business associate, Roosh from Ring of Honor, CMLL. I think it's a great addition. It doesn't look like he's signed permanently, but it is something interesting more for that like Forbidden Door stuff where they can kind of cross promote. But Roosh is great. Yeah, very happy to see him and Andrade teaming up. Who will they face next? Maybe the Lucha Bros. Oh, that'd be good. Or even LIJ. Maybe an inter-factional warfare at Forbidden Door. That'd be sick. AEW Tag Team Championship match up next, and this show really picked up again. Like, once the Serena Deeb match and Thunder Rosa happened, I think this show went back into the great territory. So you got Jurassic Express, Keith Lee and Swerve, and Team Taz. Again, like a spot fest of a match, just what it should have been. Loads of stuff in this one. I thought that Ricky Starks looked to be hurt at one point, and all Keith Lee had to say was, "Oh my god," which was quite amusing, but scary at the same time. A powerbomb onto Luchasaurus from Keith Lee. Swerve is great as well. I love him. Team Taz as well, really bringing it. Ricky Starks doing the sexy rope walk, the sexy old school, I would call it, onto Jungle Boy, but gets crotched, and JR says, "Well, it makes you look like a jackass," and I would agree. So eventually the match ends when they're all just hitting all these big moves, and Christian Cage stops, I think it's Powerhouse Hobbs from cheating. He gets booed for it, interestingly, and then Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus with the win on these two teams. And yeah, I wasn't expecting Jurassic Express to retain, but I'm kind of glad they did. A really, really fun tag team match, and I really want to see Lee and Swerve win the tag team titles. Oh my god. Or even Team Taz. Like, all three teams I think were elevated by this matchup. Again, still teasing the Christian Cage dissension, but great stuff here. And now we finally come on to the main event for the AEW World Championship. CM Punk and Hangman Page for the championship. Hangman and CM Punk, both men, getting heavily booed throughout this matchup. More of a split crowd. It wasn't like they were both getting cheered, but they were both getting booed, which was not indicative of the fact that people hated them, just the fact that they wanted the other guy to win. But really interesting stuff, really cool character development in this one. You had Hangman Page thinking, I hate this guy, and CM Punk kind of trying to, play up to the story of he's the vet who's coming back and trying to keep up really with this new crop of talent. So Hangman hits like a Orihara moonsault to the outside. There's a story where CM Punk keeps going for these buckshots, but he can't hit them at all, and that looked like to be a shoot because he seemed to have buckled under his knees, but it just shows you how hard that move is to connect with. There is like a ref bump at the end where he gets knocked out after Hangman escapes from the GTS. There's a pinfall attempt, but no referee. Eventually, Hangman looks to maybe even cheat and use the AEW Championship. Thinks better of it, but gets a GTS for his troubles. And CM Punk is the new AEW World Champion. I've seen people comparing this to Goldberg, man. What a stupid take that is. But yeah, great to see CM Punk as the champion. I think that this was the right time to end Hangman's reign. I would completely disagree with the fact that Hangman's had a bad reign. I think he's had fantastic matches with Danielson, like all-timers. His matches against Cole were great. Even the Archer stuff was cool. And this Punk feud has been fantastic in my opinion. He had a great match against Takeshita. So yeah, I'd say it was a really solid reign, and you know, the chase to the title is always better than the reign itself, so it's to be expected. I think that Hangman Page is going to bounce back from this easy. Like CM Punk though, great to see him as champion. I think that since day one, considering how over he has been with the crowd and this redemption story of him coming back to wrestling, finally being the champion, I think it's fantastic. And you know, people complain about his age, man. Like the top champions in most promotions around the world are in their 40s, like Noah, WWE. Roman Reigns is pushing 40, and you know, like, it's just a weird take. I think these days age is only a number. Like, it's more about how well the guy can go, and CM Punk can go still, man. Like, he's pulling out great performances against everyone, and people saying he's burying younger talent. Stupid takes. That's why I'm not looking at Insta comments anymore, and I'm not looking at reviews. And you know, I know it's kind of hypocritical me giving a review of the match, and I won't dwell on the negative. All I'll say is I think that Hangman was a great champ. I think that Punk's going to be a great champ, and overall a really solid show. So overall, my thoughts on the show, really, like, it started off being one of the best pay-per-views ever, and it really took a big dip in that middle portion. 5 hours probably too long for a pay-per-view, but considering I paid like 15 quid for it, I'm not going to complain about getting more bang for my buck. Yeah, once the Owen Hart matches started, that really kind of took a dip in quality. Not that they were bad matches by any means, but I think that the crowd was kind of tired out by that point. It really picked up once the Anarchy in the Arena, and even the women's title match as well. And then once, you know, you had the spot fest of a AEW tag match, and then the main event, I thought was a great way to end things. A really solid main event match. And with Punk winning at the end, I think this sets up a lot of possibilities for the future. So yeah, definitely not the best show that they've ever had, but considering it's they've had a really, really good shows, like shows of all time, you know, with AEW, I think the expectations for them are high. So if they don't meet those high expectations, people can kind of come away thinking, maybe it wasn't that good. But honestly, looking back on it, it was the most fun I've had watching a pay-per-view in a while. Even if it wasn't the best one they've ever produced, definitely had a lot of fun watching it. So gotta give a big thumbs up to Double or Nothing. But what did you think of the show, and what did you think of the matches and the results? What do you think of AEW putting the strap on CM Punk? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe to NLW Figs for more wrestling figure content. That's it from me. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys later.